Welcome everyone to version 2.0 of the Kneepit Gaming Career Experience. And there is so much ground to cover with version 2.0 that I've decided to do 3 separate videos just so that I have an opportunity to go into as much detail as I would like about all of the new functionality that is contained. This first video will go into detail about one of the aspects from the original version of the experience that has been overhauled in order to better work in the future. The second video will go into great detail about all of the new areas that are part of version 2, as well as the new functionality that brings. And then the final and third video will go into a few options that will hopefully save you some time in some of the copy and pasting that you will no doubt be doing in version 2.0. Let's get started by talking about my goals for version 2.0. What did I want to accomplish? And most importantly, what did I not want to change from the original career experience? Because that was very important to me. I quite enjoy the original career experience, so I did not want to drastically change that. And you'll find in version 2.0 of the career experience, you can play it very much the same as the original if you so desire. My goal instead was to add functionality to the spreadsheet. And that's exactly what I've done. You now have the ability not only to simulate race results for your own team, but now you can simulate a race for a full field of cars and then go a step beyond that and simulate a full season for a full field of cars. Now you can develop rivalries. You can see how different teams progress throughout the season, track points, and see how you're doing as you make upgrades to your team, change drivers. All of these things are now possible with version 2.0, but the original version 1 functionality is still very much there. But today's video is going to focus on one aspect that was completely overhauled. The functionality is very much the same, but it was overhauled so that it will work well in the future. And that functionality is the driver training. So at this point, let's hop over to a series screen. We've got 10 of them to choose from. I'm simply going to choose series 1, and you'll notice that everything looks very much the same. That is until we get over to the far right. You'll notice all of the driver training is gone. It has completely been removed, and that is because it has been centralized. Everything is focused within one sheet here in the career experience. So you no longer have to track drivers from series to series and any upgrades you've made to their driver level. All of that is done in one spot. And to find that, we're going to scroll over just a little bit across the bottom to driver training. The driver training tab now contains a list of all of the drivers within the Kneepit Gaming Career Experience 1 through 500. So there's plenty of room to not only play around with and upgrade the existing drivers, of which we now have 303, but there's a total of 500 slots available, so feel free to add your own drivers to the list. Each driver will have an original level. There is one here by default for all of the existing drivers, but as you add your own, you can determine the original level of the driver. That's still very much the same as the original experience, but now there is a current level. The current level is designed to take advantage of any upgrades that you might make. Here you see the driver levels 1 through a total, if we scroll over to the right, a total of 29. So if you're starting out with a level 30 driver, currently the lowest level, then you can upgrade them all the way to a level 1. But now you do it all in the same place. Everything is centralized. So let's actually scroll down and I'll show you how this works. I'm going to scroll all the way down and I'm going to choose a certain driver that I have included that I am just a bit partial to. And so you can see that I've added myself in as a level 30 driver. So I can get the full career experience, starting out at the very bottom and progressing my way all the way up through a level 1 driver. And I highly recommend doing this for yourself as well. So we're going to scroll over to level 29. Okay, so now we're on level 29 for my driver. When I am ready to start spending a little money and investing in my future, I simply will choose purchase from the drop down, and you'll notice that amount of money has been added to my investment. It goes into my total investment at the top, and that total investment at the top works its way over to the home screen into a new area called total driver investment, which of course will flow ultimately into your overall team balance. All right, so let's come back over now that we understand a little bit more about where it's ultimately going to flow into the home screen, and let's talk about upgrading your driver. You notice we started out at a level 30. I have upgraded one time right here in level 29, and now we are a level 29. So this is going to track your progress on any and all drivers all in one spot. And if you're ever interested, okay, well, I put purchase in here in the drop down, but how much does that cost? Well, right above the driver levels at the top, you'll see the cost of each particular upgrade. And of course, they get more and more expensive as we work our way toward level 1, which ultimately is $3 million. And I can tell you from testing, it gets extremely expensive if you want to take a driver from level 30 all the way up through level 1. So it is definitely a long-term investment, but of course, I happen to believe it is very much a worthwhile investment. And so again, driver training is now all located in the same area, but that's also going to flow into another area. There have been some changes to the drivers for hire screen. It still looks very similar to what you're used to. We've got our driver numbers, and these correspond to each driver, and that's how they're referenced throughout the spreadsheet. We've got our original level, which we saw right here under driver training. Then we've got our salary amounts, driver name, and so forth that we're used to seeing. But then we've got our current level, and that current level, once again, is coming from the driver training tab. That's right here in this area. So as we make upgrades to a particular driver, and then we come back over to driver for hire, we're going to scroll down until we find our favorite driver in the list, which just so happens to be at 291. And you can see our current level is no longer a 30, but 28. And you also notice, as we make our way back toward the top, that we now have current performance. Now, this is something we're going to talk about much more in video number 2, but this new performance tab has a lot to do with how we're going to simulate races and seasons here in version 2. So that takes care of today's video. Now you understand a little bit more about what has changed to what was one of the more fun aspects of the original career experience.